Hey guys, how's it going? It is nice to be at the saw bench for a change. Seems like lately, haven't had a lot of content come out. Just been busy, friends. Yard work, I'm kind of catching up. The last 4 or 5 years, well, the last 4 years, friends, having a toddler has changed my balance. The balance, you parents know, if you could even use that word. Um, But anyways, we got the garden done, planted last night. I got the parts in for my Ram 3500. I really want to take that to bucket stock. It's been a very reliable truck. It's got a few oil leaks and things like that, but it's been a good truck. But as you guys know, I blew an axle seal, or maybe you don't know. I blew an axle seal a couple weeks ago. So I got all the parts to fix that. I really want to bring this to bucket stock so that Bucket can try it. So, without further ado, let's put this thing together. This thing is ported, big transfers, single ring. I decked the cylinder, almost 200 thousandths. I dropped the cylinder. I cut a pop-up. We put speed holes in the piston. Got a pop-up there. Gonna go single ring. The bottom end of this thing is gonna be a ProMac 850. The one bearing out of Bucket's ProMac 850 is in better shape. Here, it's pinned, friends. Okay? So there's a little hole and there's a pin. I like that better because this thing won't move then, in theory. So we're gonna give this a go and see if we can get this thing put together half and half. Crank and rod are out of a Super Pro 80. Same with the piston. This is a Little Red Barn ring. Ring gap is ginormous on this thing. I can't make it smaller. I could make it bigger. Yeah, friends, oil pump is going to be 850. I'll show you guys that. I really want to get this thing going. So I'm going to get some two-stroke oil and start lubing parts. And I've wiped everything down with alcohol. Let's get this party started. Hopefully we can get this thing mocked up and see if it'll make fire. This is the ignition I want to use, ProMac 850. Good timing on those. They have a good advance, and they usually work. But the problem is with the Super Pro 80 is this is a point saw, which means I may ditch all of this and have to put one of these chips in here. Problem is with that, friends, the flywheel for this saw was broken, which means I have to retrofit the flywheel from the 850 on here. So again, we still got some tinkering to do, but let's get this party started. I'm going to run you guys like that. I need some glue. Here's some glue. Permatex. This is going to be fun. I hope this thing runs. If this runs, then I'm going to spend probably a week working on my truck. Maybe a little longer. I got new headlights. I got the seals. The only question is, friends, is that seal, did that seal go because it's old, or did that seal go because my front diff needs to be rebuilt? If my front diff needs to be rebuilt, I might not be bringing that truck. We'll bring the F250. But anyways, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of two-stroke oil. You use whatever oil you want. Just like with my Harley, I use the oil that's going in the motor. I tend to just always do that. I'm going to oil my ring just a little bit. I used to over oil everything, and when you fire the saw up, well, first of all, when you go to pull the saw over, you think you built a compression monster. And then second of all, when I just want to go through these ring lands again to make sure there's no junk in there. Again, these are used parts in a used saw. I cleaned everything up the best that I could. And honestly, friends, there's nothing in there. I just that's clean even. I'm just double and triple checking. And we'll wipe this all down. But yeah, I used to over oil everything, and it's just not a good deal. Okay, I'm only going to go single ring on this saw because I want to try that. Hopefully this ring doesn't break. This saw does have a chip in the cylinder. I've run a ring over that chip many times. Where's that pin? There we go. I've run a ring over that chip many times. Seems to be okay. So, okay, put that together. I think this is going to be okay. Okay, friends. Now we'll take this. That's the intake side. So that's right here. Again, you got to put these together kind of gingerly because I got my door open. It's a little windy out. I think we'll be okay. But you make sure that your rings are kind of center where the pin is because it's not like they have much room to move. Now remember, I filed a groove into here to get this to seat properly. Let's see if we can get this thing together without too much trouble. Oh, this is going to be a pain. Yes, it is. Am I going to have to try and use some kind of ring compressor on this saw? Oh, come on, friends. I put this thing together how many times on film? Oh, that's so funny. I did. I remember, friends, I ground this thing and I was putting it together in and out and I was like, okay, we got her. Oh, that is funny. See? These Macs always give me trouble. Oh, there we go. Where's my little picking screwdriver here? I'm going to be very, very, very careful. I'm going to push. First of all, I'm going to make sure that pin's in the middle. I'll start at the back. Okay, now I can actually see the end of that ring. There we go. Now I can push it in here. Yeah, this thing's gonna give me trouble. This is funny because I assembled this thing. Oh, there you go. Never mind. That is so funny. But it is what it is. I love working on these for my buddy Buckin. He asked me to do another one. And I said whenever I found a good clean saw or whenever the time was right, I would, I'm just going to wipe down the bearings again with some alcohol. Because this is a clamshell, and then I'm going to do the bottom again. Oh, that's spun in there. Okay, now I'm going to have to apply glue to here. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of grease or lube inside this bearing because I do not want to start this saw up dry. It's one of my things I always do. Not too much, just enough. Okay. I'm going to slide that onto here. This one I'll lube from the inside with this screwdriver. A few little drops in there. Okay. Same thing with the main bearing there, or with the rod bearing. Okay. Now, I'm going to stand this up. Actually, I'll just lay it back down. Just keep throwing these into the garbage. And take another rag right here. Okay, and now I'm going to wipe down everything again, these bearings. Hope you guys can see this good. If not, I apologize. Okay. This is the good bottom end. I wiped this all out. This is an NOS bottom end that I got from my buddy Dave back in the day. Dave was hooking me up with Mac parts. Miss having that guy around. But yeah, okay. Wipe off my finger. Now we take this. Again, friends, see this pin here? That's going to hold this bearing in place. Okay. Right here. Okay, now I'm just going to go around with a real thin coat. Okay. That'll seal, and that'll hold these bearings in, and also take up any slop created when we did our machining. Because again, I cut these pockets by hand, which is crazy, I know, but I don't have a milling machine, and I don't have the time, friends, to make a fixture to hold this exactly straight in my lathe to do the machining, if that makes sense. So, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of guys out there that would do that. That is the proper way. But again, friends, I just don't have the time for stuff like that anymore. I never did, really, but now it's like I just, it's a battle of time. So I cut them by hand. I had quite a few comments. You shouldn't do that. That's not going to work. Well, here's the thing, friends. I've done it before, so I know it works. Buckets Super Pro 70, I did all kinds of horrible things to that saw that you should never do to a Mac. It still runs. Not the best running saw. Bucket and I were talking about that the other week, about that saw. I went too much intake, friends. I went high exhaust roof on that saw and a bunch of intake. And what ended up happening is the saw doesn't idle very well. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Are you going to go? Or are you not going to go? This thing's going to fight me to the death, friends. Oh, what's going on here with these rings? Oh, great. Okay, friends. Well, this ring just broke, so good thing I have one more. Is that a sign of things to come? I sure hope not. Yep, this ring broke. So, and it's funny, friends, it caught the intake, and the intake is unmodified on this saw. That's right, 0 intake work. Okay, guys, I'm going to pause you here because, well, I got to work real fast. We're going to take all this glue off. Give me a second. Okay, friends, and it's funny because the other ring just slipped right in, so I'm kind of glad that one broke. Hopefully it doesn't break when she's running. Okay, and again, here's that pinhole. I think I lined it up right. No idea. Okay. And I'm going to say nope. So I may have to push this in a little bit. This is not easy work, friends, putting these together. Especially because you got to glue them. Now, I know I got a little bit of working time with this stuff, but still difficult. I like the pin idea, though. It's not going to move. Thing is, if I don't line it up just so, it, unfortunately, it's not going to go together right. Turn this up. There we go. I think I got it. Again, there's a little tiny wee gap in there. That's by design. Sorry guys, I moved you there. Okay, these bolts, I glue the heads, or the threads and the heads, okay? I goop lots of stuff on these. Okay, I do that on purpose because these things are notorious for leaking. Okay, and I don't care if there's a bunch of glue in the oil container or the oil tank. Okay, I always take off the rubber, which I didn't do this time. I used to be good at working on these Macs, but for a short period of time, like when I'm done this saw, I'll be good at working on Macs. I got a Pro Mac 55 that I'd like to pull out. It's the first saw I ever donated to the channel. I haven't run that thing in eons. It'd be fun to put some miles on that thing. I got some firewooding to do. Okay, I'm just going to make a huge mess here, but I'm doing this on purpose because then they don't leak. If these bolts leak, guess what? You end up with a saw that smokes like a truck driver. I don't know if that was a good reference, but that's what I'm going to use this time. Okay. And this one here. I always goop these like horribly, because then the goop goes around the sides and there's no way for them to leak. And I've never had them leak doing that. You don't have to look for the special O-rings. There are O-rings that fit under there. If you prefer to find O-rings that fit, have at her. I run with what I brung. Okay, now I'm going to screw these down. I'll pause you guys here while I'm working. Okay, there's your engine block, engine assembly. One cool thing about Macs, there's a lot of coolness in all these saws. The oil pump goes here, not here. And you wonder, well, what drives that? Compression. Case compression pushes on this diaphragm here, and that's what pumps the oil out. And this controls how far that little diaphragm pumps. Pretty cool, eh? I had to dig out and find a gasket, if you want to call this that. That's what's left of it. But yeah, okay, friends, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to turn the camera off and keep going with the assembly. And there's just, I got to strip this assembly and put all these parts on from Buck and Saw on this intake, boot, and this mount and all that kind of good stuff. So I won't bore you guys with those details. Okay, friends, this video is almost 20 minutes long, and I'm done for the night. I'm going to keep going through parts, digging, because again, friends, Mcculloch parts are hard to find. I'm going to keep going through parts and build an ignition, and hopefully this thing runs. Like I said, I've never had this saw running. I bought it taken apart in a box, mainly because I wanted to take another kick at the can. So anyhow, friends, thanks for hanging out, and hope that helps you assemble your Mcculloch. They're a little bit different, and there's a distinct order of operations. Anyhow, I'm not sure. I have a complete set of points and a condenser. I may run points on this saw, or I may try to convert it to electronic ignition. We'll cross that bridge in the next video. Anyhow, thanks for watching. Take her easy. Later.